Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Manager 2022 and a new experiment today where we're going to take a look at what would happen if you had the perfect player in Football Manager 2022. So this episode is going to be a little bit different to the experiments we've done in previous years because there is a new feature this year which allows you to change the expected valuation of a player, and I think this is going to be really big for enabling a player to move on to new clubs and not get stuck at one team forever. Now that might still happen. I'm actually not going to interfere if that does happen this time. Maybe they'll just go on and break every record that has ever been for whatever club they end up at. But where I am starting the player is at Dorking, a non-league team in England. He's going to start out as a perfect player, a 15-year-old Englishman, and we're going to see if he can help raise them up the league tables a little bit. So he's got 20 for all of his key stats, except for aggression, which I've set in the middle. If we look at his attributes as well, they're all set to the maximum except for loyalty, because we do want him to move on. Temperament and controversy and dirtiness I've put at 10. Injury proneness obviously at 1. We don't want him getting injured all the time. Everything else pretty much the same as they would be for any other player. So Dorking, if we have a quick look at their senior squad, or just their general information here, predicted to finish second in the Vanarama South. So hopefully they will get up with this brilliant striker up front. You can see the game has already registered him as their key player, but as their best player. So it'll be interesting to see if this 200 potential player can make that big step up for non-league football and take them up the table. He should be scoring an awful lot of goals. What we'll do today is go forward probably 15 years. We'll see kind of how long it takes to go forward, maybe 10 years all in. And see what he does with his career. I've tried to keep him here by changing his contract details so that he'll leave at the end of his contract. He's got all these extensions in there. I would like him to stay for a few years, but if he does move on, he moves on. I'm not going to interfere too much. So let's go forward in time 5 years and see how Jenkaldo Jr. is getting on. Well, we are a few years into the future, and we can see here that his debut for Dorking, he did manage to score a penalty early on. He got a hat-trick in his very next game, and then 4 the game after that before his first defeat. There was a nice 9-2 win in here. Only 2 goals from him though. We'll keep an eye out if he does set any major records here, but you can see they were winning an awful lot of games. A little 5-0 here against Chippenham, 2 goals in that one. Then the following season they start off in the Vanarama National doing extremely well as he just keeps scoring goal after goal for the team. Still doing well at this point. And then their form starts to drop off. You can probably imagine why that's the case, although he's still here at this point. And then the goals stop coming, and that's because, oh no, 3-0, he is still there. He does leave around this time. Yeah, it looks like he's gone by this point, and they start to struggle a little bit more. So he has helped Dorking get up into the Vanarama National. If we just drop down to the National League South and have a look at the history of this one, the first season that he was there, they did finish as champions, 96 goals there. And if we look at the award winners for the player of the season, he was player of the season in 21-22, and the top goal scorer, he was top goal scorer with 48 goals. The next best player's got 17 goals. He got 48 and 21 assists. That is some record. Only 5 ahead of this guy, Dave Tarpey, though. So he has set the record for the most goals in the Vanarama National League South, but not by much. Only 5 extra goals, which is an interesting one. So the question now is, where did he move to? And if we go back, you can see he moved to West Ham. Now, what confuses me is he moved for £12,000, even though he's the best player in the world, and I put a valuation of £1 billion on him. I don't know why that's the case. I assume the game adjusted his value down to 12,000, but that's a bit of a strange one. And if we have a look at how he has been doing at West Ham by taking a look at their schedule over the last few years, he joined halfway through the season, and they weren't doing very well when he did come and join. Let's see if we can find his first game here. I think it was this one here. So They just lost 3 games in a row when they brought him in, and then the Carabao Cup quarter-final, they get a 3-1 win. He scores twice in that one, and then the goals just keep coming. A little bit of a drop in form, not too many high-scoring games, but then they really kick on from March onwards, doing quite well. The next season as well, lots of wins starting to come. A little 4-1 win here, he gets a couple of goals. It doesn't look like he's had any absolutely barnstorming games with 5-6 goals in it, and they do lose in the Carabao Cup semi-final to Liverpool, out in the 5th round of the FA Cup to City as well. But their league campaign doing very well, and it's got them into the Europa League, although not the best start to this one. He's still getting plenty of goals though in all of these different competitions. And then Carabao Cup quarter-final, they get a 4-1 win, and they actually beat Everton 4-1 after losing the first leg 3-2. They win 4-1. He doesn't even score in that game as they make it to the Carabao Cup final, but lose 3-2 in the final. He got an 89th minute goal, but they were already 3-1 down at that point, so it didn't really make much difference. And then they get knocked out by Athletic Bilbao in the Europa League second round, or second knockout round. They did make it to the FA Cup semis, a 2-0 win over Arsenal. He scored in that one. And then a 3-2 defeat. He scored twice here, trying to bring his team back into it again from 3-1 down, but not enough, and they do lose the FA Cup final. The next year, we'll skip through some of these, although a 7-0 win here. Got a hat-trick, 2 penalties in that one. And you can see a lot of wins. It is starting to happen. Knocked out the Carabao Cup, though. Europa League, they beat Salzburg to get through to the next round, losing the FA Cup quarter-final. Wolfsburg, they dispatched 3-2. Home and away, he scores goals there. They lose 2-1 to Arsenal, though, at home. And then in the return game, a 4-1 victory. He scores the last goal there in the semi-final. And in the Europa League final, a 2-0 defeat to Bayer Leverkusen. So you can see he's definitely carrying this West Ham team into the major competitions, maybe trophies, and putting them in trophy contention as well, but not quite enough. They do get through in the Europa League again, through in the quarterfinals as well, and then through on penalties. Scored the first penalty there as they beat Real Sociedad, but again a 2-1 defeat in the final. He just cannot get his hands on that silverware. And if we have a look at that Premier League table over the last few seasons, when he joined West Ham, this was their first season, and they did finish up in 9th place. The year before that, they were in 10th, so a little bit of improvement. The following year, though, 5th place, so close to Champions League football. 6th place the next year, 5th again. 12 goals stopping him from Champions League football for the first time. And then in the most recent season, he's managed to get them up into the Champions League places by a good 11 points. Still some way behind Manchester City, but if we have a look at the top goal scorers in recent years, he's not actually at the top of the list here. He did get 29 in the 23-24 season to get the Golden Boot, but more recently not appearing in the top scorers. He did last season, same number of goals, but done I don't know why he hasn't got that. Maybe minutes played comes into it at that point. But if we look at the Footballer of the Year, he's won that once. Players Player of the Year, again, just one, the most recent season. But he has won Young Player of the Year every single season. So not a bad return all in all. You can see up there with Haaland in the Team of the Year. Good to see a West Ham player up there. I don't think you'd see many other West Ham players up there, given the squad that they've got. But he's done quite well for them. If you look at that senior squad, he is the most valuable player in there. He's currently wanted by Manchester United. We'll see if he does end up moving to Manchester United. It'd be quite interesting if he stayed at West Ham, but they do have Champions League football, and he is the club captain as well. What I'm going to do is go forward another 5 years, and then we'll also look at his England career as well. You can see he's already got 33 goals in 42 games. Not a bad return. We'll see if that improves as well over the next 5 years, and if he can start to win some actual trophies, because right now he does not have many trophies to his name. But let's jump ahead 5 years and then check in at where he is. Well, we are 5 years on, and he was still at West Ham the next season. You can see what a start to the season they made. They were winning pretty much everything in the first half of the season. They were also in the Champions League for the first time. managing to get his first Champions League goals, beating Borussia Dortmund as well. Only a 1-0 defeat to Spurs in the league at this point. And you can see quite a few victories still coming, but he does leave them in January. So his last game for the club was actually this one against Sheffield United before the January transfer window opened, which is a bit of a shame because they were doing so well. And West Ham after that did fall apart a little bit. If we have a look at this league table going back to 27-28, they actually finished second. And if you imagine if he'd stayed at West Ham the whole time, that whole season, instead of leaving at the end of December, he may very well have led West Ham to their first Premier League title ever. I know they've probably won the old First Division, but they've definitely not won the Premier League before, and he could have been the player to fire them all the way to that title. But unfortunately, he did move on, and it's not a shock where he ended up. It was Paris Saint-Germain, and if we have a look, I think this is going to be a fairly predictable one. I think he joins them in this season here. If we have a look at their first games, this is where he starts to score the goals for them. Although, those are the January ones. Yeah, he's definitely not there before then. So he joins halfway through the season, gets off the mark in January. First goal coming in the league in a 2-0 victory against Metz. And then it's all just going to be green from this point on, isn't it? Getting through in the French Cup, they beat Juventus, they beat Man City 1-0 in the home game to take them through. He scored in the first leg. 3-2 against Barcelona, he scores a second goal there to level things up in that match, and then 2-0 away from home as they make it into the Champions League final. They win the French Cup 2-0, and then they beat Manchester United on penalties. He actually missed a penalty, the first penalty in that game, but his team did manage to do the job. You can see Mbappe has moved to Man United, so no wonder they needed a new striker. But he has now won a Champions League, he's won a French Cup, he's won Ligue 1 as well. Next year, good win in the Trophée du Champion. A few defeats in the league, nothing to worry about too much, although they go out to Nice here. And then lots of wins coming. Champions League quarterfinals against Liverpool, a 3-0 win, beaten in the return game at Anfield, but it was enough to go through. They beat Barcelona again, semi-finals, a 4-0 win there on aggregate. And then in the final, he scores both goals at the Bernabeu to sink Manchester City and win back-to-back Champions League titles. The Club World Cup as well he's involved in, and he scores a 93rd minute winner against United in the semi-finals there, and then they do win it in the final against Bayern Munich. European Super Cup goes the same way. 2 goals, a second-minute goal and a third-minute goal there as they lift that trophy. And look at that winning run through the season. That is impressive. And they do actually go out to AC Milan in the first knockout round of the Champions League. Now that is a shock. He was available. He did score in one of those. They win another French Cup, another league title. But really, with PSG, you're only looking out for the old Champions League scores here. And you can see again they lose to Liverpool. Is that 4-1 on aggregate? Or no, that's 3-2 on aggregate. They go down against Liverpool. A real shame he's missed out there. Another French Cup win. And then the 31-32 season. Now, I wonder if he's gone by this point. Just having a look at this. Well, he does score here. So he is still available and around. He's scoring at that point. The following season, let's see if he's gone by now. And it does look like it. He's not on the score sheet, so he's left Paris with 2 Champions League trophies in his back pocket. And if we just have a look at where he's gone now, you'll see he is currently playing for, if it loads, it's taken a very long time to load for some reason. He is currently playing for Bayern Munich. So he hasn't yet ended up at a Premier League team. I don't know why this is taking so long to load his profile. Must be a lot of data underlying it. But there he is. He's at Bayern Munich. He's 26 years old at this point. And he's about to start his second season. He moved to PSG for 110 million. And then for some reason, they sold him for 114 million. Could come to 121 million in total. You'd have to imagine it would. And you can see he got some decent goal returns at PSG. Never really breaking that goal a game ratio that you used to get from Messi and Ronaldo, although at Bayern Munich he's pushing it even closer, probably more suitable conditions for him there, with a slightly stronger squad around. Well, I mean, it's all subjective at this point, isn't it? 10 years in the future, but he's doing quite well there. And if we have a look at his first season at Bayern Munich, a nice Super Cup win, and then doing very well in the league. Look at all those wins. Champions League, a 3-1 win. He's scoring in that one. Again, 3-1. The quarter-final, 1-1 against his old team, PSG. He scores the away goal, and then they win it 1-0 at home. Semi-final against Chelsea, he scores a winner at Stamford Bridge, and then he helps his team go through into the final. And his first final with Bayern Munich, he scores the only goal to sink Manchester City again, who must be absolutely sick of the sight of him. 1-0, he takes that one for Bayern Munich to beat Manchester City. He also wins the German Cup. He obviously also wins the Bundesliga. You can see they actually did it unbeaten, 32 wins and only 2 draws in there, 112 goals, 17 conceded. That is a quite impressive return they've got there. If we have a look at PSG and how they did in his time, you'll see lots and lots of league titles in there, never losing more than a couple of games really, as he helped them take consecutive league titles. So he's done very well, it has to be said. Now the question is, how did he get on England duty? Because he scored a lot of goals for England, and if we take a look here at the England squad and their schedule in recent years, not quite sure when he actually joins the team, so we'll just have to take a little look here. Doesn't look like he's here at the first European Championship. He will not have long moved to Manchester City, but he makes his debut in this game, a 3-0 win against Bosnia-Herzegovina, 2 goals on his England debut, and then he fires his way through this tournament, scoring I think in pretty much every game. He scored in every game so far except for the 2-0 win over Germany, which Jack Grealish steals a show. And then against Sweden, he scores a goal in the final as England win a European Championship. They also win the International League, again 2-0 there, 1-0 over Portugal. And then in the World Cup, a 6-0 win, a hat-trick against Jamaica, and then 5-2 against Iran. He gets 1 goal, but they are beaten by Sweden in the second round. That is a real shock there, that they've been beaten by Sweden. Another International League trophy coming against Italy, and then the next year in the European Championship, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, and then they lose 3-2 to Poland. So really disappointing international tournaments here. They do get another International League, 3-1 here after a 2-0 win over France. And then in the World Cup, 5-0, 5-0, 4-0. A 7-0 game here where he gets a couple of goals against Cameroon. They do get revenge on Sweden to make it into the semi-final, but it's a familiar story as England beaten by Croatia 2-1, is that how it happened against Croatia in the last World Cup semi-final? Pretty sure it was. 2-1 defeat, and then 2-1 defeat to Brazil as well. So not brilliant there. And then more recently, they are in the European Championship again, and he is scoring goals again, but that tournament yet to finish. He did score in a penalty shootout win over Germany in the second round. That is an encouraging outcome for England, that they've beaten the Germans on penalties in that European Championship. But no World Cup yet. He has had some success with the England team, though, that European Championship in there. And you can see his biography here. You can pause the screen if you want to go through this at your own leisure and take in what he's managed to achieve at his various clubs. 24 competition wins, several consecutive league titles, and of course he also had a great time with Dorking, which can't be forgotten. But generally he has been a very, very impressive player so far, and it's nice to see that he's moved teams without me having to forcibly move him, which is what has happened in previous years. That ability to change a player's valuation, and it looks like the loyalty is playing a part as well. I don't know if he'll leave Bayern Munich. He might stay here forever, but we'll have to see. how many Champions Leagues he can win and other things in the next episode, and also whether he can win a World Cup with England. Now, if you did enjoy this episode, do drop a like down below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. But until next time, see ya.